Hi, my name is Ike and I make a lot of my own clothes. I thought I'd make a video talking about some of my sewing plans and goals for 2026, as well as goals for this channel. One of the big goals I've set for myself this year is to make at least one project a month and an accompanying video about the construction of that project. I think this makes sense for the pace I sew at and also the pace I can put together videos at. I want to make some pattern drafting videos as well. I'm working on a video about drafting a pattern for selvedge denim jeans right now, and I'm hoping to have that out this month. I also want to put together a video about drafting like a basic jacket block, but I feel less comfortable with drafting upper body garments, so that one might take some time. I was also wondering if there's any other sorts of videos that you folks would like to see on this channel. Let me know in the comments. The other big goal I have in terms of sewing is to try new construction methods, revisit ones that I haven't done in a while and maybe never felt completely comfortable with, and expand the range of materials that I work with. In this video, I want to walk through some of the projects I've planned and how they relate to those goals. The first project I want to work on is a blanket-lined denim jacket. The cut is going to be inspired by denim jackets from the late 19th and early 20th century, like this denim jacket that I made in 2024. This is a great late 19th century example from Low Sun Vintage on Instagram, and it has this really cool style of collar with a stand cut in one with the rest of the collar, and I really want to try that. Levi's has a jacket from the 1870s in their archives with a similar style of collar, so it seems to be a thing during this period. I haven't made a jacket with a lining in years, and I think it's going to be an interesting challenge to figure out how to construct it. For the outer fabric, I have an 11-ounce selvedge denim that was woven by Cone Mills here in the States before they shut down production that I got from Pacific Blue Denim a few years ago. For the lining, I have this cream wool with a navy blue stripe that I got from Dora Mill. I thought about finding a vintage blanket to use, but I was worried about finding one that was the right weight, and sometimes I feel bad about cutting up vintage textiles. I also like to work in a really limited color palette of navy blue, black, and cream or off-white, and I wanted something that fit into that color palette. For the buttons, I have these antique black enameled metal buttons that came in their original box, which has a registration date of 1877. Buttons like this were really common on workwear and clothing during this period. The next project I've planned is a 30s inspired short wool jacket like this vintage example from Cole World True on Instagram. In catalogs from this period, they're often referred to as Cossack style jackets or sports jackets, and I think they're so cool. A lot of times you see them with zippered fronts, but I really like these button front ones. This example has patch pockets on the front, but you often see them with welt pockets, and I haven't sewn a welt pocket in a while and I've been meaning to try them again. Wool is a material I also haven't worked with in a while, and I really love working with wool. I made a similar style jacket during undergrad while studying fashion design, and I've been meaning to revisit this idea. Though I want to make something a little simpler and more in line with how I design clothing today. I'll probably actually use the same wool for this jacket since it's still being made. It's a really nice coating weight wool with a firm hand and a blind finish. I'm planning on making this jacket with the body unlined. Because this wool is heavy enough, it really doesn't need a lining. And also a lot of the vintage examples I was looking at seem to be constructed that way. The nicest way to finish the interior edges would probably be to bind them, but I don't really enjoy binding stuff, and I don't want to mess around with figuring out a binding attachment for my sewing machine, but binding is something I would eventually like to work on, so maybe that'll be a goal for next year. I'll probably just serge the interior edges since my friend has a serger I can use. I would really like to line the sleeves with a lightweight silk, maybe like a China silk or a silk charmeuse. If anybody has any thoughts, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure about what buttons I want to use. I've got a few that could work for this project, like these black enameled metal buttons that I've used on projects in the past. I also think this project presents some interesting pattern making challenges, specifically drafting a two-piece shaped sleeve. A project I've been thinking about for a while is a blue and white checked jacket. This is another project I'd cut like a denim jacket from the late 19th or early 20th century. This is a great antique example from the late 19th century from Original Indiana Jeans on Instagram. Jackets like this made of checked cotton were really common during this period and show up in catalogs and images. I might use the pattern I drafted for the blanket line jacket, though I'm sure there's going to be things that I want to alter, and I also want to incorporate some gathering of the body and sleeves into the yokes, waistband, and cuffs. Since the fabric is lighter weight, I think some gathering would look really good, and it's something you see on jackets of this period. There's nothing really new here in terms of construction, but pattern matching is always a nice challenge. For the fabric, I found this vintage woven checked cotton on eBay, and I really like the pattern. It's a little bit heavier than most shirting weight cottons, but lighter weight than most denims. For the buttons, I've got these really great, probably antique porcelain buttons that are white with a blue ring. Buttons like this were really common on cotton garments that were meant to be washed in the 19th century, and I thought these would look great with the checked fabric. I really want to do some projects made from lighter weight fabrics, specifically shirts or boxers. These sorts of projects are a lot more accessible for home or beginner sewers than the stuff I usually make in terms of the tools and fabrics required. And the techniques used are applicable to a lot of different sewing projects, so it'd be great to put together some videos on how to make them. I'd probably start with some short sleeve camp collar or convertible collar shirts for summer. And I've got a lot of shirting fabrics I've collected over the years that'd be perfect for this project. I also have a vintage sewing pattern that I could use as a starting point, but I'd probably want to draft my own. I do feel like I've been wearing less collared shirts over the past couple years, and I'm not sure I want to invest my time in a project that I don't know would get a lot of wear. I do really like the idea of sewing boxers, though. I also have a vintage pattern I could start from, though this one is at least a size too big, so I'd probably end up drafting my own. One of my favorite projects I made last year was this matching set comprised of a denim trucker jacket and matching jeans, and I think a fun project for summer would be to make something similar out of a natural colored selvage denim. I've made a couple pairs of pants in white or off-white fabrics, but I haven't made a pair of jeans yet. There's some changes I want to explore with the jacket pattern, and I think I want to start working towards a trimmer jean silhouette. I don't have the fabric for this project quite yet, but I'm keeping my eyes out for a natural colored selvage denim between 10 and 12 ounces, since I want something lighter weight for summer. I'm not sure about buttons quite yet, but I want a sew-on button in a silver tone metal. Citron Jeans has these, which might be a good option. Something I like to do is make myself a new pair of jeans every year. These are my last 3 pairs from 2023, 2024, and 2025. Making a new pair of jeans every year is a great way to revisit the skills I used to make them and see how far I've come in terms of construction and finish. It's also a nice opportunity to revisit my jean pattern because my body and how I want my jeans to fit is constantly changing. Like I mentioned, I think I want to move towards a trimmer jean silhouette. I usually make my new jeans in the spring, but I think I'm going to wait until the fall since my 3 previous pairs are still in pretty good shape. And I think I want to wait until the oldest pair of jeans starts to develop holes, and I think that's going to happen this summer. I've got this 12-ounce selvage denim that was also woven by Cone Mills in the States before they shut down production that I got from Pacific Blue Denim a few years ago that I'd like to use for these. I use this natural colored herringbone twill cotton for the pocket bags on my last pair of jeans, and I really like how that looks, and I have enough for another pair of pocket bags, so I'll probably use that. Not sure about the buttons for these, but I'll figure that out later. I'd like to make a coat or jacket to match these jeans, but I'm not sure what I want to do in terms of style. I think a blanket line version of my denim trucker jacket could be cool, probably using the same striped wool as a lining. And I might give it a corduroy collar like a Lee Storm Rider. Though if I'm making the natural colored denim trucker jacket, I don't know that I'd want to make 2 of the same style of jacket in the same year. Another option would be a denim chore coat. I haven't made one in a couple years, and I think I'd like to. I really like the way this hemp set that I made myself last year looks together, but I sort of wish it was made out of denim, so I think a denim chore coat could be a good option as well. Moving into the winter, I would really like to make myself a winter coat this year. I've got a winter coat that I really love, but it gets a lot of wear, and it would be nice to have another option to rotate between to help it last longer. I've got 2 ideas, maybe I'll get to both, but we'll see. The first idea I have is a shorter duffel coat inspired by these cream or white duffel coats that were issued to the Royal Navy during World War II. They've got this really interesting sort of shawl style of collar, though I think I might want to do something a little different. I made something similar during undergrad, and I really like the idea of it, especially how I used wool tape to attach the toggles, but I have issues with the pattern and the fabric, so I don't really wear it. I have this really cool blue and white wool duffel fabric with a blanket stripe I got from a mill-end store in England a few years ago that would be perfect and make for such a cool coat. I think I feel sort of precious about this fabric though. There's not any more of it available, and I really love it, and I don't want to mess it up. The other idea I have is a shawl collar Mackinaw coat, inspired by these ones from the 19 teens and 20s. I think these things are so cool. I love the collar and the overall silhouette and the belt. I've wanted to make one of these for years, but I think I've always felt intimidated by drafting the patterns, so I've never really done anything like this. I'd want to use a really heavy navy blue wool. Mackinaws in catalogs from this period are often advertised as being around 30 ounces, which I think is per linear yard. So I'd be looking for something around 20 ounces per square yard, which is actually surprisingly difficult to find. Both of these projects would expand on what I learned from making the wool sports jacket earlier in the year in terms of working with wool, and give me the opportunity to explore some new silhouettes when it comes to pattern making. One of the big construction things I want to work on this year is sewing zippers. I love button flies in pants, and I'll probably never put a zipper fly in a pair of pants, but there's some jackets that I feel like really call for a zipper. I probably haven't sewn a zipper in about 7 years, and honestly I never felt super comfortable with them. But if I can figure them out, it opens up a whole bunch of styles of jackets that I've wanted to make for a while now. I think for my first zipper jacket, I want to make something inspired by like uniform jackets from the mid 20th century, with patch pockets and pocket flaps on the front. I've had this really nice navy blue twill woven worsted wool for years now, and I think it would be perfect for this project. It's got a really firm, crisp hand that you don't see in a lot of worsted wools. I'm really excited to get started sewing and making videos for all of you, but let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions, and let me know what projects you're most excited to see.